Hi, it's author Ellie Alexander, and I am so excited to spend this Friday with you and to get ready to reveal part 5 of our cozy mystery collaboration, A Brunch with Death. I'm still in love with this title, and I'm definitely in love with your ideas. But for anyone who may be joining us right now, I just want to give you a quick recap of what's been happening. Since we are home together, I thought it would be fun to write a spin-off of my Bake Shop Mysteries together. For the last 5 weeks, we have been putting together suspects, victims, settings, locations, all that beautiful stuff. And then each week I pose questions to you and then write new pages. It's been such a fun experience for me, and I hope it has been for you as well. And if you are just joining us, we're so happy you're here, and feel free to get caught up on my blog or any of my social media channels. All right, so who's ready for part 5 of A Brunch with Death? I feel like my childhood is coming true these days because one of my favorite memories was of listening to the Cinnamon Bear every week during the holiday season. And of course, each episode of the radio program would leave off with a cliffhanger. And so last week's cliffhanger had us wondering what was happening with Brady, the actor who Lance is casting in Kiss Me Kate. He had a secret to reveal about Pierre, AKA Peter, the French chef. All right, that's your recap. Let's do this. Here we go. A Brunch with Death, part 5. I waited for Brady to respond, but instead he shifted uncomfortably in his chair. I leaned forward. Trust me, your secret is safe with me. I am a model of discretion. It comes with the territory. An artistic director needs to guard his company. Brady bought my lie. Okay, yeah, I guess you're right. And if I'm going to take the part, I'm going to have to figure out a way to deal with Pierre. I will gladly offer you my services in any way I can. I was laying it on thick, poor kid. Juliet would chastise me, but I had to know what he wanted to tell me about the Mary Windsor's new chef. Well, Brady hesitated again before spilling his secret. The thing is, Pierre can't cook. What? My jaw dropped. If only Juliet were here. What sweet irony. Richard had hired a chef who couldn't cook? Classic. No, I guess. I don't know for sure. But I don't think he can cook. He has me and the rest of the kitchen staff doing everything. He's rarely even in the kitchen. Every once in a while he'll sweep in and do this big show of tasting stuff. The other day, Mr. Lord came into the kitchen and Pierre freaked out. He grabbed a wooden spoon right out of my hand and tried to use it on cinnamon roll dough that the pastry chef had rising. I cleared my throat. Forgive me for being naive, but I'm assuming one does not use a wooden spoon on dough? Baking had never been my domain. That was one of the many reasons that it was fortuitous that Juliet and I had become thick as thieves. Having a best friend who happens to be a world-class pastry chef has its rewards, namely in the form of always having an abundance of delicacies at my fingertips. No, Brady scowled. His features had the making of a leading man with his strong jawline and bold forehead. You need dough, either with your hands or in a mixer. You don't stir it with a wooden spoon. And this dough was already proofed. It was the size of a basketball. Pierre ruined it. How interesting. I pondered my next move. Brady wrung his hands together. You won't say anything though, right? I really need the extra income. Oh, not to worry. Your secret is safe with me. I'll handle Pierre. You should scoot up to costuming and give them your measurements. Then you have some lines to learn, Petruchio. I'll see you at 5 o'clock sharp. Congratulations. I stood to shake his hand and usher him out of my office. What a revelation. Everything about Richard's new chef was fake. He wasn't French, he wasn't named Pierre, and he couldn't cook. Only I had time to dive deeper. Alas, duty called. I spent the remainder of the afternoon preparing costumes, gathering sketches, and casting the remaining roles. Before I knew it, my smartwatch buzzed a reminder that it was time for our happy hour. I grabbed a coat and my cashmere scarf and made my way to the Mary Windsor. The front desk clerk greeted me with nothing more than a grunt. I must apologize. I don't believe I caught your name earlier. He glanced up from the magazine he was reading. Hank. Hank, excellent. I'll be popping in and out more frequently with the upcoming production. You'll likely be seeing members of my cast coming and going as well. That's fine. He didn't sound particularly interested. Hey, quick question. What do you know about Pierre? I hoped my tone reflected my casual manner. Hank set down the magazine and folded his arms across his chest. I don't know anything about him. Why? No reason. I always like to learn as much as I can about anyone with whom I'll be working. I don't know why you're asking me. I just check guests in and send housekeeping to deliver towels. You should talk to the kitchen staff. It was clear that he wasn't going to be more forthcoming. And was it my imagination or was he defensive? He and Peter had argued earlier. There was definitely more to the story. Thanks for the tip. I'll do that. I gave him a wave and walked to the dining room. The green carpet and cheap Shakespearean decor continued in the dining room. Gaudy gold curtains hung from the windows, and matching shimmering satin tablecloths lined the tables. Richard sat at a large rectangular table at the far end of the room. Tony was seated next to him. Lance, come on over! He raised a glass of red wine. Platters of appetizers had been placed in the center of the table. There was an indistinguishable dip with crusty bread, mini meatballs on toothpicks, cheese and crackers, and a fruit plate. This was Richard's new happy hour menu? The food looked fine, but certainly not high-end or artisan. What are you drinking, my friend? Richard clapped me on the back. I'll take a martini, dry. Richard snapped his fingers at a waiter. Get my friend a martini, dry. Then he turned to Tony. Do you need a refresher, sweetheart? Tony batted her fake lashes at Richard. Yes, dearest. She handed the waiter her empty wine glass. Well, what do we have here? Richard's beady eyes focused on my files. Don't you think we should wait for the rest of the cast? Tony gave him a knowing look. Plus, we'll want to make our big announcement before we start talking business. Announcement? I raised my brow. Before Tony could answer, Brady and the other cast members arrived, followed shortly by Juliet and Peter. Richard made awkward small talk while waiting for everyone's drinks to arrive. Peter, who was decked out in his chef's coat and hat, called Brady to his side. I noticed they had a brief exchange before Brady shrugged and left in the direction of the kitchen. He returned a few minutes later with a tray of champagne and glasses. Good, good, Richard said, pushing to his feet. If you all will take a glass of the Mary Windsor's finest champagne, I'll make a toast. Brady passed out the glasses of bubbly champagne. To our new French chef, Pierre, who's put together this amazing spread. He caught Juliet's eye and gave her a gloating grin. To our outstanding cast for the Mary Windsor's first brunch fete, and to... Tony cut him off. She jumped to her feet. Let me share the news, dearest. She held out her left hand to show off a sparkling ring. Richard popped the question shortly before you all arrived. Isn't this the most beautiful diamond ever? I leaned closer to Juliet. Not a diamond. Cubic zirconia, for sure. She chuckled, but motioned for me to keep quiet. Richard puffed out his chest. Tony's making me the happiest man alive by agreeing to be my leading lady for life. To my new bride-to-be. He lifted his champagne glass. To Tony, everyone said, toasting to the couple. I glanced around the table. It was an odd mix, to say the least, and the most muted celebration I'd ever witnessed. Peter didn't appear to be taking the news well. His cheeks swelled with red. He slammed his glass on the table, spilling champagne. He stood, but swayed and caught himself at the last minute. Was he drunk? The next thing I knew, he clutched his throat and collapsed, face down in the dip. Juliet raced around to the other side of the table. She knelt next to Peter. What a lush! Richard laughed. I guess our new chef can't handle his liquor. Juliet shook her head. No, something's wrong. He's not breathing. Tony screamed and dropped her glass. Brady turned ghostly white. Juliet looked to me. Her eyes were wide with fear. I had to act. I reached for my phone and punched in a number I knew well. Aha. Okay, there we have it. That is part 5 of A Brunch with Death. As always, you now are taking it from here. So I have 2 tasks for you. The first question that I want to know is, who is Lance gonna call? Sure, 911 seems like an obvious choice, but remember, this is Lance, so there are a plethora of other ideas that I'm sure your creative brains will start spinning on. Question number 2 is, who is our top suspect going to be? You have a few choices. We have Brady, the young leading man who just delivered the glasses of champagne. We have Tony, who we know has had some sort of nefarious dealings with Peter, aka Pierre. We of course have the bloated Richard Lord, who is always a suspect in my mind. And we have Hank, the front desk clerk. Okay, so those are your choices. I cannot wait to see what you come up with. Reminder, question number 1 is, who is Lance gonna call? And question number 2 is, who's our top suspect right now? Who should we put all of our attention on as we work our way into part 6? You have until the end of the weekend, until Sunday evening to comment. You can comment here, you can comment on my blog, you can comment on any of my social media pages, and then I will share out 5 possibilities for both of those questions on Monday, and we'll put it to a vote. Have fun, have a great weekend, and happy plotting.